So everyone, I need you to prepare the note-taking notebook and a pencil. Probably you will need the note-taking for this chapter. You will see lots of information in this chapter. So let's see what the print is. So printing is a process for reproducing text and images using a master form or template. So there are 5 big printing techniques. First one is relief. Second one is intaglio and lithography, screen printing, and the last one is digital inkjet. We are going to skip the last one, digital inkjet. Probably everyone knows what it is. So we're gonna see these 4 printing techniques: relief, intaglio, lithography, and screen printing. So these are all very popular printmaking technique in art. So let's see the relief first. So this is the side view of the printmaking plate. So relief print make the print plates, this raised area hold the ink. So the term relief describes any printing method in which the image to be printed is raised from the background. So probably an artist make an image like this, curve something on the block, and then the raised part hold the ink to print. So all the technique looks like this. It's called relief. So here is the process of relief printing. So first, there is an image that the artist want to make. And then number 2, so the image is now transferred to the block. So many of artists use wood block or other softer block to make a relief printing like this. And then the surface area that will not be printed is curved away like this. And this raised area hold the ink. And lastly, the raised inked area is transferred to the surface to be printed. So that is the basic process of relief. And there are 3 popular ways of relief printing. So the first one is woodcut, and the next one we're going to see is wood engraving, and the last one is lino cut. So let's see one by one. So this is a woodcut printmaking. So an artist curves an image into the surface of a block of wood, typically with gouges, which is the woodcut knife. So as you can see, now the curved out part is not printed, and the rest of part, the raised part is printed, and the artist just curved some parts of the background and just follow the image lines like this. So that is woodcut type. and this one. So the next one is wood engraving. Can you see the differences? So woodcut has dark background. So the artist just curved the image line, right? But when you see this wood engraving, the artist leave the images outline and everything is curved away, including the background. So that is the difference. So wood engraving is printmaking and letterpress printing technique in which an artist works an image or matrix of images into a block of wood. So that is wood engraving. And the last one is lino cut. Lino cut is also called linoleum cut because it is used not wood block. They use this, like this, very flexible and softer block, which is called linoleum. So it's just like a eraser texture. It's very soft. So like this. So so linoleum is the lino cut is very similar to wood cut and wood engraving. So artists can do the wood cut technique and the wood engraving technique on this linoleum block. Just use the different types of block. So now I'm gonna share a video to show the process of the relief printing.
This is MDF, there's no grain, and this is a drawing that I've transferred to the MDF. These are the tools.
So he just said he's using MDF, which is the this wood block. So that is called that is the type of wood blocks. So this is MDF, and he just sketched it on the MDF.
Transferred to the MDF. These are the tools that I use, old textile tools. So I got U-gouges, a different assortment of sizes.
So these are called gauzes, which is the the relief printings knives.
E-gouge, and then I would tone the block with an acrylic so I can see my mark, what I've done here with the graphite, because if I was just to make a mark in the wood without toning it, you can't really see what you're doing. Lay some color down, it really pops out. After I've gotten all of my detail outline work out of the way, then I will go in with a bigger U-gouge, carve around the whole piece so you get bigger, much larger marks. A couple of those next to each other, and then just keep hacking away. This was 1¾ inch, and now it's at some points down to like not even a ½ inch. So I've gone and just chiseled out all that. It makes it look really clean.
All right, so everyone, listen. So I'm gonna ask you. So can you guess which type of relief printing technique the artist used for this? Is this wood cut or wood engraving?
Wood engraving?
Yes, that's correct. So he just used wood engraving. He just curved out all the background and leave the images outline. Very good.
Is that a woodcut or is that a screen print? So that's what I like to go for. The first part of printing is getting a nice ink palette going. This is a Japanese ink. Basically, what you're looking for is a nice velvet kind of sheen. You don't want to put too much ink. You want that porridge just perfect. This is just caveman registration right here, just so I know where to put the paper and where to put the actual block. And I like to wet the paper, get really nice, rich blacks, pretty good detail. Line it up with my registration. Put the blocks down. ensure no movement of the paper. So we'll roll it through the 15th century copying machine. No electricity needed.
Because
Be awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So that is the relief printing technique. All right. So now let's see.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of.
Hi, good afternoon. Let's see the next printing technique, intaglio. So let's see. 1 second. So intaglio technique is the reverse way of the relief printing. So see, intaglio print make the print plates incised areas hold the ink. So for example, if an artist draws something on the plate, then the drawing line, this, the artist make scratches on a plate. Then the scratches lines hold the ink, not the top part of the plate. So let's see how it works.
Excuse me?
You have any question? No? All right, so let's see the process of intaglio. So here is an image to print. The artist wants to print. And then for the intaglio, most of artists use metal plate, like a copper plate. And copper is the most popular plate for the intaglio. And some of the artists use acrylic plate, but most of artists use metal plate for the intaglio. So this is the metal plate, and see, can you see this? There is a needle to draw. So basically the artist make the scratches on the metal plate to make the incised area. And then step 3, the plate is inked. And then the surface of the plate is wiped, removing all ink except in the grooves. So the artist just wiped out the the surface, the top part of the plate, not the incised area. And step 5, sorry, paper is placed on the plate, and then it is pressed. And step 6, the paper leaves the ink out of the grooves, and the ink is imprinted on the paper. And this is the result. So again, intaglio is exactly the reverse of relief, in that the areas meant to print are below the surface of the printing plate. The artist uses a sharp tool here or acid to make depressions, like lines, grooves, or pits in a metal plate. And when the plate is inked, the ink sinks into the depressions. Then the surface of the plate is wiped clean. When damped paper is brought into contact with the plate under pressure. So the plate is pushed into the depressions to pick up the image like this. So there are diverse types of intaglio in art, but we are going to see 3, the most popular intaglio printing techniques. So first one is dry point. And the next one is etching. And the last one is aquatint. So intaglio is kind of hard to understand. So let's see each of the techniques in detail. So let's see the dry point first. So dry point of intaglio technique is similar to the wood engraving. So except the cutting instrument used is a dry point needle. So this is a needle. An artist draws on the plate, usually a copper plate, and almost as freely as one can draw on paper with a pencil. As the needle scratches across the plate, it raises a burr like this, or a thin ridge of metal. If left in place, the burr will hold ink along with the incised line, producing a soft, slightly blurred line when printed. So let me share a video to see the process of dry point.
I'm using an Akua printmaking plastic plate. It's very soft and easy to incise and press into.
So she's using acrylic plate instead of the copper plate because dry point doesn't require to use the acid to make a depression.
This is a line roulette dry point tool. It leaves an impression of a series of short lines. Rich darks are created by overlapping and cross-hatching. This roulette has a random dot pattern, which creates tonal values and textural effects. Needle-tip dry point tools offer fine lines on top of the roulette marks or on top of the smooth surface of the plate. The image is finished and ready to be inked up for printing. I'm going to use Akua Intaglio soy-based ink right from the jar. Akua Intaglio ink is perfect for printing a dry point plate. The ink is applied gently with a piece of mat board. Once the plate is completely covered with a thin layer of ink, Akua wiping fabric is used to wipe away excess ink. An inky piece of wiping fabric rolled into a ball is used first. Akua wiping fabric is recommended because it is softer than tarlatan, yet more absorbent than cheesecloth.
See, she's just wiping the surface of the plate and the incised area hold the ink like this.
Akua Intaglio ink will not skin or harden on the wiping fabric. To remove more plate tone and create a higher contrast print, I will continue to wipe the plate with a clean piece of wiping fabric. Once the desired amount of ink is removed, the plate is run through an etching press along with a piece of dampened paper. When printing with Akua Intaglio ink, it is very important that the paper is just slightly damp. If the paper is too wet, the print will dry hazy. An hour ago, I sprayed the paper and then placed it in a plastic bag. Blotting before printing will ensure that the paper is not too wet. For easy registration, I prepared a template and placed it on the press bed.
So the wet paper can soak the ink when it pressed. So that's why intaglio artists use the damped paper.
As the plate goes through the press, the ink is being transferred from the plate to the paper. The high pigment load in Akua Intaglio Mars Black highlights the velvety appearance of the dry point line.
That's it. Looks so cool, right? So this is a dry point print work. So it looks like a, pencil drawing, right? And, we just saw in the video, she just, draw an image like, when she just, does it with the pencil. And the next technique we are going to see is etching. So, so etching is one of the famous intaglio printing technique. So etching is very similar with dry point in terms of using the dry point needle to draw an image on the plate. But the differences is etching uses the acid to make a depression like this. So so etching is done with acids that eat lines and the depressions into a metal plate, much as sharp tools cut those depressions in the method. So the process is here. The artist coats, so coats like this, coats the entire printing plate with an acid-resistant substance called ground. And the artist draws on the coated plate with an etching needle or dry point needle. And the needle removes the ground, exposing the burr metal in areas meant to print. And the entire plate is dipped in an acid bath, only the portions of the plate intact. And the ground is removed and the plate is inked and printed. So that is the basic process of etching. So let me show you how it works through the video.
Need a brush, you'll need etching ground, and of course you'll need a plate. The next thing you'll need to do is use the brush to apply the ground to the plate.
So he's applying the ground on the plate. So this is acid-resistant substance.
Use to dab the brush because you don't want brush strokes. You just want a smooth surface. Then allow the ground to dry on the plate. Allow ample time for this to happen. It may be several hours. Overnight is a good idea. Next, you'll begin to scratch off the areas that you want to be black. You might achieve this by scratching in a crosshatch pattern or perhaps using squiggly lines. You can use any sharp tool to accomplish this. In this case, I prepared my plate using a leather punch. Here's a look at the completed plate for this etching. Now you'll need to gather your supplies for the acid part of this process.
So he just,
Next, you'll pour the acid into a container and drop the etched plate into the acid bath. You'll now allow the acid bath to bite into the plate. Everywhere where there is not ground, the acid will bite into the plate, using either acetone or some other paint thinner.
So he just wiped out, cleaned away the ground
now
from the plate.
Your ink supplies. This will include oil-based printing ink and some type of card. Next, spread the ink around with the card. Be sure to force the ink into the grooves of the plate. And gently wipe away the ink from the surface of the plate.
So see, he just wiped away all the ink on the surface of the plate, and the scratches, lines hold the ink.
Here's what your prepared plate should look like. Now lay the prepared plate onto the press. Lay the paper on top of the plate, inside of the press. Run the plate through the press and gently pull away the print from the plate, pulling from one corner. Here.
So that is the etching. So since he's just showing the simple, the etching process, but mostly the artists use the etching to make it like this, deeper shading compared to the dry point. So, so this etching work looks like a pen drawing with very strong modeling mass. So the lines are deeper and darker compared to the dry point printing work because the drawing lines are depressed by acid. So that is the biggest difference between these two intaglio techniques. And the third intaglio printing technique we're going to see is aquatint. So aquatint is a way of achieving flat of tone gray values or intermediate values of color. So it doesn't need a needle to draw something on the plate like other two intaglio techniques we just saw. The artist first dusted with finely powdered resin on the top of the plate. And the plate is heated so that the resin sticks to it. And resin resists acid. So when the plate is immersed in acid, the acid will bite all around the resin particles, producing a pitted surface that holds ink evenly. And the artist block non-printing area with the ground and brush and dip the entire plate into the acid bath. And the ground is removed and the plate is inked and printed. So let's see how the aquatint works through the video. So he just applied the, the powdered resin and just heated to stick on the plate. And he's applying the ground where he doesn't want to print. So he's doing the same process, covering some part with the ground and put it in the acid bath. By doing that, he can make the mass value on the same plate. And then he's wiping out the ground with the alcohol. See, it has different depression. And then now he's applying the ink. And he's using the wet paper to print like this. So that is the aqua tint. So as you see, he didn't use any sharp tool to draw something on the plate. He just used the ground and acid. That is the aqua tint. So this is an aqua tint printing work. So can you see the difference from the previous two intaglio's techniques? There is no scratched lines on this work of art. Like this, see, this is an etching. It has lots of, lines, across the hatching lines. But for this intaglio work, we cannot see any scratched lines. So there are all flattened value modeling because it doesn't use a needle. And now let's move on to the third printing technique, lithography. So lithography is totally different techniques with compared to the relief and the intaglio. So this image area on the lithography plate hold the ink, and the non-image area repel the ink. So there is no curving, needle drawing, or acid depression. Now, let's see the process. So, so here is the an image that artist wants to print, and then for the lithography, most of the artists use the limestone. So this is a stone as a plate. And the lithography requires to use grease pencil. So with the grease pencil, artists can draw anything they want on the limestone. And then, so the design is drawn onto the limestone, blocking the pores. So this greasy pencil block the pores of the limestone. And the stone is treated with acid and other chemicals that are brushed onto its surface. Then the surface is wiped clean with the solvent such as kerosene. So, so they can just use the acid for the chemical effect, not for the depression like the intaglio work. And step 4, the stone is sponged so that water can be absorbed into the pores of the stone. And step 5, the oil-based ink is repelled by the water and sits only on areas where the oil crayon image was drawn, like this. And step 6, paper is laid on the surface of the stone and it is drawn through a press. And step 7, the print is removed from the stone and the completed image appears in reverse compared with the original design. So that is the basic process of the lithography. So let's see how it works. See, so she's using real stone to make a lithography work. And I guess she's using the ground, and I assume the ground has the, It's just, oil base to hold the, oil-based ink.
I mostly draw on paint.
And she's using the grease pencil, to make an image on the stone plate.
I like it because it's quite painterly, and yeah, it's very close to my sensitivity. The feeling is close to it, but actually in the print process, there are many accidents, and I'm very quick normally on the drawings, but with printmaking, I need to be more thinking of what I'm doing. It is going to be reproduced many times, whether with the drawing or painting, everything is happening there. Taking a drawing on like a stone or plate, it feels a little bit more precious, You pluck.
So now she's gonna apply the ink.
Actually, it's like on a piece of paper.
See? Can you see that? So all the background part repels the ink, and only the image area hold the ink. Okay, she's gonna press to make a print.
This is quite demanding. I enjoy that part, maybe because I enjoy materials. It might be I did sculpture, and I'm quite, linked into materials, and I quite enjoy the physical labor of printmaking.
So that was the lithography. So this is a lithography work. So lithography is a planographic process, which means that the printing surface is totally flat, and it is not raised as in relief or depressed as in intaglio. To make a lithographic print, the artist draws the image on the stone with the greasy material. So when the stone is inked, the greasy ink sticks to the greasy drawing. That was intaglio. All right, let's see the last printing technique, screen printing. So screen printing is called silk screen or serigraphy. There is a screen here, and for the screen printing, and the ink passes through the areas of the screen that are not blocked. So this gray part is blocked with the special material. And traditionally, this printing technique is used for t-shirt printing. So screen printing is a printing technique where a mesh is used to transfer ink onto the substrate, except in areas made impermeable to the ink by a blocking stencil. So this orange area, is that gray? So orangish gray area is blocked. And this image area is not blocked. So the ink can pass through to the paper. So the screen is a fine mesh of silk or synthetic fiber mounted in a frame, rather like window screen. Working from drawings, the printmaker blocks the screen areas like this that are not meant to print by plugging the holes so that no ink can pass through. Then the screen is placed over the paper like this, and the ink is forced through the mesh with a tool, this called a squeegee. And only the area not stepped out allow the ink to pass through on paper. So let me share a video to see the screen printing process.
You're gonna need a screen, a squeegee, and some photo emulsion. This stuff comes in two parts. You're gonna add a little water to the little bottle of sensitizer and mix it up. That loosens it from the sides of the bottle, and then you can pour it into the emulsion. Then you're gonna mix that all together.
So this is a substance to block the screen.
Really well until it's a consistent green color. It might take a little while, but you want to make sure that you get it fully consistent. Once you have it, you pour a little bit of it onto the screen. You don't need to use very much because it spreads really thin once you use a squeegee. Make sure you get the entire thing covered where your art's going to be and make sure it's really even. Now don't leave this out in the light. Put a fan on it to dry and turn the lights off. You want it to...
So this substance is very sensitive in light. So when it exposure in the light, all the screen is blocked. So, nothing can print it from this screen.
Put a fan on it to dry and turn the lights off. You want it to dry in the dark. Once it's dry, you do want to work quickly because this stuff is photosensitive. So the longer the light's on it, the quicker it's going to set. Print out your art on some transparencies, and you can do this at any office supply store, and then lay them backward on the back of the screen. Lay a piece of glass.
So see, he's now, you use the light to exposure the green area to block the screen like this. And then as you see, the image was black, right? So which is not exposed by the light.
Or to push them down against the screen and then set a really bright light on top of it for about 30 or 45 minutes.
So now he's going to remove
the way printing works is that the
substance
is a mask. The white or lighter area lets the ink through onto the surface that you're printing on. You want to do this gently because you don't want to remove anything that you actually need. This may take a little bit of time, and sometimes you may have mistakes. If you have areas that are mistakes or stuff you don't want to print yet, you can use some tape to cover them up. Use painter's tape and not duct tape. The duct tape will rip off the emulsion. Now lay out your shirt and place your screen, then add a nice thick bead of the screen printing ink. It's best to have somebody else hold your screen and then pull the squeegee down across your print.
Yep, so that was the screen printing. Looks so much fun. So this is a screen printing work. Looks like a solid acrylic printing, right? So for screen printing, artists use one screen frame for each color. So for this work, for example, the artist used one frame for this ivory color, and one frame for the light gray, and one is for the dark gray, and one is for the navy, and one is for the bright red, and one is the darker red, and one is for the background. So for the background, I guess the artist used the two colors on the screen, and then to make a natural gradation on it. So that's, I guess the artist used 7 screen frames for this work of art, and that is a lot. So it looks a great work of art with the excellent technique, because it is really hard to match all the pins to you, because the artist used the different frames. Okay, so that's it for this chapter. Printing is kind of tricky to understand without visually watching how to do it. So please watch all the videos again. So you can see all the video lists in the Moodle room in the discussion page. So here is today's discussion. Everyone, please go to discussion 6.2 and you will see there are the video links we just watched together, and please choose one of them and then tell us the brief printing features and the process. So that is today's discussion topic. Do you have any question?